Our world has a rhythm. We all sense it. But only a few truly feel it. It is found in the smallest moments. In every step of a perilous journey. In the symmetry of ritual. In the bonds we share. And in moments of stillness. It teaches us to look beyond the expected. To be a light in dark places. To seek answers. And to stand watch over our world. Our world has a rhythm. We all sense it. But only a few truly feel it.
Our world has a rhythm. We all sense it, but only a few truly feel it. This is Everwild. It is a really interesting game that is coming out from Rare, being published by Xbox Game Studios. If you're listening to this, you might be wondering, why is this on a Sea of Thieves feed? And honestly, the reason for it is because this is going to be an episode dedicated to the celebration of Earth Day. The reason I wanted to put this out now is because Everwild seems to be a game that is really calling for people to become these Eternals. That these Eternals are charged with watching over and nurturing all life. We first found out about the game back in November 13th of 2019 at XO19, and it was really beautiful to actually watch that. But without more knowledge of what this game is going to become, we can only really guess, speculate, and hope that some of the things that happen in these trailers will come to fruition as we wait and see what Rare has in store for us with Everwild. And with that, I wanted to reach out to the Everwild Discord community. They have been a very interesting and lovely bunch of folks who have been spending most of their time coming up with names and for all the creatures and coming up with different ideas of what's going to be going on with the actual game itself. So I reached out to Carrie the Legend, and actually I reached out to a lot of folks to get some either recorded videos or audio and just get a chance to talk with them. And Carrie the Legend, or Owl over on the Everwild Discord, stepped up and decided to spend some time with me to record some of our thoughts about Everwild and to give folks who may not have been paying too much attention to this game a little idea on how the community is treating it and what we think and like about it. So it was an amazing time getting to sit down and chat with her about this, and I hope that you all enjoy it as much as I enjoyed recording it. So with that, let's move on. The reason why I was thinking about this, of doing this, was actually because they had recently had Louise O'Connor on the Women of Xbox podcast, and she was kind of talking about something that was really interesting about how they've been watching like a lot of like Planet Earth videos and stuff, and how like just the sheer nature of their game seems to revolve around like the world and nature, and how everything has this kind of intertwining nature to it, or just kind of how everything's kind of goes in and about it. And I wanted to, obviously I put out the call on the Everwild Discord in the discussion channel, because for one, the Everwild Discord is got a lot of people, but it's still relatively small compared to like Sea of Thieves. And I
Yeah.
feel like we've kind of been invested in this game. I see a lot of crossover with Sea of Thieves, and a lot of people that are just fans of Rare tend to kind of pop in on this, but there's definitely a select few people. So Ever Owl, you're one of the few people that have kind of been in the Everwild discussion since we saw the first trailer, like back in 2019, was it in EXO when they got the first reveal? So just kind of to start off, I was really kind of curious. What were your kind of first impressions of that initial trailer that we got?
Um, I mean, I thought it was beautiful. I love games with a lot of life in them. I like seeing a whole bunch of animals moving around and being in the world and being part of the world, so everything's not so static.
Yeah,
And so my first hope for that was that the world would, reflect what they've shown us so far, that, there's so many animals, they're surviving, they're exploring, they seem interested in humans and vice versa. Um, like I want to see that sort of world in a game, and I think that Everwild is very promising for that.
it really is. It feels like they've really kind of latched on to the idea of needing to be one of these Eternals, which are the player characters, and really kind of fostering a sense of care and growth, and in promoting a balance in this world. Through a lot of the videos, it's really clear that the Eternals are trying to live their own life, but at the same time, it looks like their whole purpose in life is to help ensure that things are growing naturally, and that things aren't getting too out of hand. We've seen some videos. We've had a couple videos since releasing a director's commentary, but there was one video section that I was thinking about in particular, about how there were four Eternals with staves who were creating a barrier, either by ritual or just through understanding of how these bugs, these kind of locust style, eating everything in their path, creatures were coming along and through and following in large trails as they move through this forest, and they were trying to protect this one tree which still had a little bit of
Yeah,
life to it. And it was so interesting that, given that the whole area was probably consumed down to not having any kind of life, that there was this one particular tree that had little wind chimes, I guess, or little attachments or fixments to it, I'm imagining the Eternals put on the tree, and they were trying to save it. And it was really interesting to think about how, in a lot of these videos, it feels like the Eternals are trying to save creatures that need help, or plants that need help, and it seems like they're acting as guardians. And do you think that that's going to be kind of the main drive for the Eternals as we play them?
I think most definitely, because we see them, not only save that tree, but I think it was in the same trailer where we saw them rescue that baby bloom deer
Mhm.
from sickness.
Yeah,
Um, so in yeah, there's going. I really do see it being a game where you can connect with the animals and then protect them and then use them to, well, not use them, but work with them, like we saw with the big bushy mustached animal, to kind of find balance and restore where there's, sickness or hurt somewhere.
yeah, yeah. And I was wondering, because way back in 20, gosh, I think it was 2019 that I noticed, we had kind of like all kind of discussed what we thought some of the animals' names should be, or at least what we were going to refer to them as. So we've
Yes.
kind of latched on to like bloom deers. I think the big fluffy animal that you're talking about, that a
Walrus.
walrus. There's obviously the big salamander style with the with the fish inside of it, or the little salamanders inside of it, which is the fat
Those are
amander.
definitely babies. Yeah, the Fatamander.
Yeah, and
It's a super creative name.
yeah.
I love it so much.
And we had a,
It's,
what was it, the little
there's
bat bird kind of
um
guy. I can't remember what those were
I
called.
I think we landed on Crobat. Hold on. I actually have an entire list
Oh, perfect.
saved here.
Yeah.
So let me get it pulled up.
But
Oh, where is he?
we
Okay.
we had little hoppy ones. I think those were hoppy gliders.
Yep, the hoppy gliders and the birds were pointy flap flaps. The the purple fish that were swimming around
The
the
eternal.
Eternal,
Yeah.
the plum gliders,
Hmm. It's a
which
good name.
that's another thing, why were those fish reacting to the Eternal like that? Let's
Yeah.
see. Oh,
I actually, about that, I was thinking, in most games, when you're damaged, sometimes there's a way to regenerate your health.
yeah,
And it made me
it looked
think,
very healing.
yeah, it made me think that pool was kind of a meditation pool, where it kind of revitalized whatever magic or essence that you have, that you use to draw out different spells or rituals to help try and heal things. Because I can imagine, with the way that the game is, obviously they are doing rituals to help kind of heal the bloom deer
Yeah,
and protect the trees. I imagine that there has to be a give and a take with that. The Eternals are Eternals for a reason. Whatever they can do is something that is not always an endless well of resource. And I was thinking that moment in the pool with the plum gliders was a moment of kind of revitalizing and restoring that essence to them, to be able to continue doing that. And they were just naturally drawn to the essence being restored into the eternal, and they just kind of like it's kind of a calming moment where they're just like, hey, we're here, we support you, thank you, kind of thing.
yeah. Well, that's interesting because that sort of makes it a cycle, and we saw them change the Everwild um, symbol on Discord
Yeah.
to
No.
the cycle with what looks like the human, the the deer, or some sort of four-legged animal, and some sort of jellyfish or maybe spirit.
Yeah, I'm glad.
Looks like that they're going in a circle.
Yep. And I was it's funny that you bring that up, because I noticed that, and I was wanting to talk with someone about it too, because it, as the video that we got about, what was it, about 8 months ago or so, we did kind of get that essence that, everything is a cycle, everything is in tandem with each other, and there's a flow and a rebirth to everything. And we found out about these spirits, and it's clear that these spirits have a role to play, but we've never seen how that works. So it makes me wonder if the spirits are making Eternals, and then the Eternals are caring for the creatures in this world, and then the creatures are then what turn into the spirits when they pass, and then that energy is then passed along to the Eternals to help guide more creatures.
That's really interesting.
Yeah, I
Okay,
heart.
one more thing I want to bring up.
Yeah,
I don't I don't know if this is like something anybody else has really thought about too much. I know I've mentioned it in the Discord, but you see the little spirit looking uh thing on the Everwild picture
Yeah, the
looks an awful lot like the uh the mushrooms or ghosty
hmm
things that were outside of the spooky puma animal's cave. So it
yeah, we
so could it be possible that those are spirits? Because he's got the dead bloom deer in there with him.
oh gosh. That's, I'll be 100% honest. I hadn't really considered that as a possibility, but you're right. I cuz yeah, we don't really see we haven't really seen like a good understanding of uh what happens when a creature dies. And it is definitely very plausible that when a creature dies, those little mushroom things come up, and you start to get an understanding of this is where the spirit, the essence of each creature comes from, and in that we kind of understand like how that all works. Um, God, speaking of the spumas, which are just the spooky puma creatures, if people are wondering.
Spumas.
Sorry.
Oh, sorry, I was just repeating it. Spumas. It's fun
Yeah,
to say.
it is fun to say. Um, it's interesting to think about how, like, in this world, it's clear. It's not really clear, but it's clear that there are aggressive animals. And in that scene in the XO19 announcement trailer, um, the Eternals are kind of sneaking up on this situation. We see the Spuma in the cave, where with
Right?
the dead bloom deer, and as you kind of look at it, the Eternals are definitely creeping up. They're crouched, just kind of slowly looking at what's going on in the situation, but we don't really know much about the little, and it's hard to describe, so I'm trying to do my best, so hopefully folks will give me a little slack on that. But there's definitely a little mist that is around the rocks with these little mushroom spirits, which just have like a couple little glowing eyes and the little hood shape faces. And it definitely seems like they are kind of the spirits. I always think of I don't know if you ever saw the movie, but it's Mononoke Hime, or Princess Mononoke.
Yeah.
There's always the
Yes.
forest spirits in that.
And yeah, with the little like three spots for the face.
Yeah, yeah, and
They're adorable. They sound like rattles.
yes, yeah, and
Yeah.
it makes me wonder if Everwild is pulling some of that cultural history from Japan into this world as a representative of the balance between life, death, and what the job of the Eternals is to ensure that there's a balance between that and that there isn't excessive use. Because it feels like to me that this game is trying to draw attention to nature and earth, and trying to give people a way to connect with nature that normally we might not be paying attention to, and hopefully bring a little bit of awareness to how we're treating our world. The irony being that we're playing a video game on a bunch of technology that is definitely not natural. So I was wondering, you still have that list of different creatures. Did you have any others that you wanted to bring up that you really enjoy?
Just the names
Yeah,
of them? Or okay.
because I think you've.
Well, obviously the oh, what was
Well, I
that?
was just going to say, I think you've probably got them down a lot better than I do.
Yeah. Okay, so I guess I'll just start from the top and move my way down,
Awesome.
I suppose. So we have the bloom deer, obviously the large orange orange maned deer. He looks okay. He he's got like mushrooms on his neck and blooms for antlers. And if you look at where we first find them, there are orange mushrooms on the sides of the trees
Mm-hmm.
where they live, and I've always kind of wondered why they look so similar. Is it like a parasitic thing? Maybe it's something from the trees that's moving to the deer, or the deer to the trees, or maybe it's just coincidence, or
I always
I'm not sure.
I always wondered too. In nature, a lot of because they the bloom deer definitely have very elongated necks, and one of the things that I see a lot in nature is the kind of masking or natural camouflage that certain like insects or creatures will develop to help mask their presence in the way kind of like how zebra have stripes so that when they're
Right.
in big herds it's harder for predators to discern the shape of one individual zebra. I tend to think that over the years in this world, the bloom deer have just developed this natural design or this evolution of their aesthetic to kind of make it so that when they're in and amongst these trees with these different mushroom plateaus, they kind of blend in with the background from a distance, and it makes it harder for predators to tell like a bloom deer from a tree. So that was kind of
And they just look like foliage.
mm-hmm. Yeah, they just blend
Why did
in.
that never occur to me?
It's I hadn't even.
I was I don't know. I was like, is I don't know. I guess I was assuming that it was actual mushrooms on the deer, but
Well, it could be.
I think camouflage is a lot more obvious.
Well, that's the fun thing is that we don't know. It totally could be a symbiotic relationship, like the deer rub up against the
It's a
trees,
video game.
and then
It could be
the
anything.
spores come off of the neck, and the spores land on the trees, and it helps kind of live on the trees, and then the spores act as food for something. Like who knows what kind of crazy things could be going on in this world? But I appreciate the fact that there's multiple ways to kind of look at it and say like, yeah, I could totally see that. That could totally be a way about going about seeing how this actually works out. So, but we have the bloom deer. We
Like that.
oh sorry.
So I was just saying that's really interesting, and I like that, and I wish I thought of it because it's such a simple answer.
Well, I'm a simple guy. What can I say?
I thought way too much about it.
Well, that's the beauty is that if the game's not out. If Rare listens to this, if the Everwild team gets wind of this, then who knows? Maybe they're like, oh, you know what? That actually is an interesting thing. Maybe we can tie that into the game. So we could influence the game. You never know.
Anything's possible at this point,
It's true. It's true.
considering we know very, very little. A lot of this is just what people have come up with
Yeah.
talking about it because we just don't know anything. We're making it all up.
Yeah, which is kind of exciting. It's fun to kind of play around with what we think this is actually going to end up being, and until it's actually kind of parsed out for us in the form of videos
Yeah,
and discussions, everything is possible at this point.
I'm very excited to see how close we are to it.
Me too, because I think a lot of folks have some really interesting ideas about what we're going to be doing. What do you think that we're going to be doing in this game?
Oh man, you know, I just don't know. Um, a running joke is that it's going to be a grass simulator, and we're just going to be it's a turn-based uh card card game grass simulator, and we're just going to be grass
Yeah.
battle royale,
Yep. Which is
which at this point is still possible.
very possible. We have no clue.
Yes.
Yeah, I've talked to because we have some Tamaz and Vili,
Or
Thor. We've got a bunch of regs in the Discord, and we're always kind of trying to build on whatever the next goofy idea is that we think this game's going to be. But I was telling Thor von Blitz or Thor on Bloomdeer that there's no way I'm playing this game if it's a card battler. I will only play it if it's an RPG, if I can play as the grass, but as individual blades. and it's just a roguelike that every time a blade gets cut, I just come back as a different blade. So I hopefully everyone gets their wish and there's options.
And there's so many types of grass. I mean, you could really go wild with it because you have like field grass, you have like lawn grass,
Would you
there's meadow
would
grass.
you say that the possibilities are ever wild?
Yes.
Sorry, I had to.
Yes, and I mean back I guess going back to your original question, what I think the game could be about. Um Honestly, just as simple as um helping create a balance and protecting the earth and the world around you. There's there's not a whole lot to go off of, and I've not really been thinking so much of the gameplay as I have been of the world and who's in it.
Mm-hmm.
Myself. Oh goodness.
Yeah, there's
I
sorry.
I'm just thinking I'm thinking of what kind of story it could be. Obviously there's going to be the 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 beetle plague that we saw with the I thought they looked like beetles.
Mm-hmm.
Um
Yeah, definitely.
some sort of illness that the baby bloom deer was under, which baby bloom deer are called blossoms. That's a fact. I don't make the rules.
So everyone knows now. Baby
Yes,
bloom
baby bloom
deer
deer are
blossoms.
blossoms.
I love that show. Um, I was thinking in my mind when I was trying to think logically of like, okay, well, this has to be a game. What are the going to be the daily things that you do in this game? I was thinking about how
Feed your bloom deer.
yeah,
Forage for mushrooms, feed your bloom deer, grab some water. You think it'll be a survival game? I kind of hope it is.
I think there's going to be survival aspects. Just based on the kind of tone that I think Luis O'Connor and them have kind of portrayed, is I think it's going to be a little more relaxing of a survival game if it is a survival game. I don't think that they want folks to feel tied to food and water mechanics. I think that they want
Right.
I think they want people to be able to live in this world in a very relaxed state. So the way I've been kind of approaching it is more that there's going to be an open world and we'll have different areas that you can travel to. They've talked a lot about having different regions. So I think that there's going to be an open world aspect with different regions that you'll explore. And as you explore, you'll come across these different creatures and you'll build bonds with them in the area. And then there's going to be missions that you have to accomplish. And I use missions in the most game sense of the term. Whatever they actually call them is going to be different, I'm sure. But I just have a sense that you'll run into a region and you'll find out that there is a plague of beetles that are going around chewing through the forest, and you'll have to do something to try and protect a certain number of trees or certain trees that still have life, and that'll be the goal for that section. Whereas another one, you'll come into a region that's being overhunted, and there are bloom deer who have been killed by spumas, and they will have their babies will be malnourished as a result of their parents being killed, and it'll be up to you to revitalize the blossoms so that they can actually kind of live on and grow up and help kind of keep that balance. And then you've got other situations where there are areas that are just too overgrown, and you need to use some of the oh gosh, what are they called?
The walrus?
The walrus to
I was just thinking,
pull down some of the
and quote,
trees.
use the animals.
So that's kind of the sense that I've been getting is that it feels like the Eternals are taking animals with a relationship and helping have those animals bring balance to nature, because if one thing gets out of hand, there's not always a good answer for it. If a type of insect gets brought into a different region, that insect can massively destroy entire acres worth of land, and unless something comes in to counteract it, then there's no good balance for this plague that's kind of ravaging through this forest, and it's going to cause a lot more harm. Whereas as the Eternals, which I'm assuming the reason they're called Eternals is because their spirit is something that kind of persists in the game and persists in the world, and then we'll always kind of be, there's always going to be Eternals, but they'll come in different forms or different people, and that's why they can look however they want. But each,
Like reincarnation.
yeah, something similar to that, kind of bringing more back into that idea of always being in this cycle. So it makes me wonder, like, are the Eternals destined to set out to do a certain role? And if that's the case, are you going to die at some point and then come back as a new Eternal with a different goal in a roguelike aspect? But it's still very big kind of question marks in my head. But the general gist is I feel like it's going to be one of those co-op online multiplayer open world games where your goal is to slowly take care of the world using animals that you make connections with, and you have to connect with different animals because of the different things that you need to do. So you may have like a crowbat, and the crowbat, or the little bird with the leather like wings, is going to be kind of your scout. But you'll also be able to make you'll also make bonds with oh gosh, what are the yak bunnies called?
Bunyak.
Bunny yak. I almost had it.
Yeah, bunyak.
So
You're so close.
Yeah.
You just had to flip it around.
So the bunny yaks,
I love those.
yeah, they're adorable, and they seem like kind of a pack mule creature where whatever you're taking with you is going to be kind of their burden to carry as you kind of travel around the different regions and find different animals. So I feel like those are going to be like two creatures that are going to be by your side a lot. But then you also see like a bloom deer with one of the Eternals as they're kind of treading through some fields. So if that's the type of game it is that something that you're looking forward to playing, or would you want specific types of gameplay for the Everwild that you want to play?
I mean, that sounds kind of amazing, and I'll be disappointed if it's not that. Um, as far as co-op, I see a lot of people hoping for single player mode.
Mm.
I hope that it's just whichever you would prefer. I mean, I like exploring new worlds and having adventures with my friends. I really hope that I can explore Everwild um with my friends, and discover the world and build the story and the progress with them.
Yeah.
But some people prefer to go it alone. Maybe you just want to set out with your bloom deer and your crowbat and go exploring, which would be nice too.
Yeah.
I really hope that it's an option,
I do too.
because there's people on both sides wanting to do it with their friends and wanting to do it solo.
I think this is one where I could definitely see there being a way to have like a single player offline experience with these, or even a couch co-op situation too. Just have like an offline and an online mode. And given their experience with Sea of Thieves now, it seems like they could really do with both. If it's one thing Sea of Thieves has taught me is that there's a benefit to trying to serve every audience member, but not every audience member is going to resonate with the gameplay style that the game's original intent is. And there's never a good answer to those people as far as, well, I want Sea of Thieves to be this type of game. And there's never like let me point you to this game that perfectly reflects exactly what Sea of Thieves is, but in the mode that you want. And unfortunately, it kind of comes down to needing a whole nother game, hopefully, to help kind of sate that desire. So I do kind of hope that there is in a single player mode, offline or online. I just hope that there's something that allows people to enjoy this game, especially if it's coming to Game Pass, that people can download it, pick it up, and feel like they can play through it and enjoy it without necessarily
Yes.
needing a whole group to do stuff with.
Yeah, it absolutely looks like something that you could just hop into and just kind of fall into the world.
Yeah.
I really love those sorts of exploration um, moments in games where you can just run in a straight line as far as you can
Mm-hmm.
and explore everything along the way.
It was definitely something I enjoyed with Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild. Playing through that, I definitely had the love of looking out off the top of a spire, setting a waypoint, and just going towards it and seeing like how long it took me to get there. Did I find anything weird, or did I get distracted along the way? And I think,
I've had
yeah,
that with Valheim
yeah,
recently.
Valheim's a really
Just
good.
running along your first shoreline and you see islands in the distance and you're like, what's out there? I want to go see it. That feeling is one of the best feelings in games, and I feel like Everwild will really be able to capture that, especially with you can see the plains
Mm-hmm.
that they were walking through with the big orange trees,
Yeah,
and you can see the mountain in the distance that they're walking towards, and then later you see them going up what I would assume would be that mountain. But also, if you look closely in the distance in that scene where they're walking up the mountain and the rocks fall in the background, there looks like there's ruins or buildings of some sort. I'm not sure if it's well, maybe it was just in the artwork.
yeah,
I was looking at artwork and I saw the ruins.
yeah. It's an interesting aspect to the game that we don't know a lot about, especially so far. And it's clear that there's going to be some history with this game that we have to kind of uncover. We saw some of the different trailers show off like using little creatures to help kind of awaken different, like, I don't even know, carvings in the wall. There's one specific where it looks like a little butterfly with a light that one of the Eternals actually.
Loomwing.
What is it called?
Loomwing? That one has a name
Oh,
too.
Loomling. Okay. So,
Loomwing.
oh, Loomwing. Oh,
Yeah,
Luminary
yeah, I
Wing.
think.
Okay.
Either that or the Everwisp. I'm not sure what it. Maybe it's the Everwisp, but maybe that's the glowy one. I'm looking at my list. I'm not sure.
It looks like
I didn't specify.
from the stuff that we were listing back in 2019, looks like the butterfly is the Loomwing.
Okay, so I'm a liar.
No, no, you had it.
Okay,
So,
no, I was confused.
but we had those. We had that moment where it kind of fluttered off and it went up to the wall, and as it was going towards the wall, it actually illuminated what looked like the Bloom Deer spirit through the actual carvings. So it makes me wonder if there's going to be areas that we're going to have to kind of awaken uh, the spirit in that area. You know, try and actually bring that spirit into the presence of the region and kind of help kind of flesh out its influence on the world around it. And that's kind of our role is to, as Eternals, is to try and walk around and find these different things and awaken them, so that it helps kind of take care of the area, the forest in the area. I don't know. I'm just kind of reaching at this point.
Yeah, they didn't really show us too much about that, did they?
No. Same thing
No.
with the
Um,
with what was ever going on in the sky. There was that big kind of meteor where it looked like a bunch of light was coming together.
it looked like a giant bloom deer spirit to me.
Oh, in the
I think the like stars
mm-hmm.
in the night sky. They're
Yeah.
calling it the Skyder, but I think he looks more like a huge bloom deer, almost, or just huge deer.
it
It's hard to
it
tell.
really is. It looks like it's an event, and that the
Yeah,
Eternals are kind of crouching down on this big plateau high above the actual cloud line. And
like a god of some sort.
it's really weird to me because when I saw it, and I've been kind of scrubbing through the frames as we're talking, it looks like it's kind of appearing, but it looks like parts of the light are actually reflecting off of these angles, and it's so weird because in my mind when I think about that, it makes me think like there's got to be this energy that is breaking through this barrier, this kind of transparent barrier, and it's going to impact on the world and cause some sort of event. But at the same time, I could totally see it being just like a big spirit that we have to interact with somehow, or we're summoning.
Appease appease it maybe by bringing balance.
Yeah,
Maybe there's a different one for different areas,
yeah.
and you have to you know, like you said, you have to bring balance to the area, and then when you do that, it gives you the ability to maybe move on to a new area, or the ability to craft something new, or
Hmm.
there's really possibilities are endless,
Yeah, it's so hard to
and I
know.
love that.
So I wanted to kind of round things up and keep this episode kind of short up, because this is going to be going out on Earth Day, and I was just kind of hoping that if folks are listening to the podcast feed, that we kind of bring to light that this is a good time to kind of look forward to what's going to be going on with Everwild and what we know so far, and how it feels like these Eternals are destined to help and try take care of this world, in conjunction with the creatures in it. And hopefully they'll take some time to think about Earth Day and to think about what's going on in our world, and maybe some of the things that we can do to help promote some of the positive nature, and help take care of our planet, because it is kind of precious to us. We only have this one planet for now, and unless some crazy mastermind out there has plans of terraforming Mars, it's going to be pretty tough for us as a species to find some way to live outside of this Earth. So, as we kind of close things up, I wanted to first off just thank you for joining me for this. I put out the
You're
call,
welcome.
and you hopped on it and stayed true for the whole time that that I was kind of planning this out. Is there anywhere that people can find your artwork, or get a chance to talk to you if they want to bring some ideas to the table with regard to Everwild?
Oh, well, my Twitter is at Carrie the Legend. My DMs are open, I guess. Um, yeah, that's it. I'm pretty much just on Twitter, hanging around Discord.
Yeah,
I'm not far. You can find me
yeah.
if you need me.
And you've been one of the staples in the Sea of Thieves community for a very long time.
Oh,
I mean it in the most sincere way too. You've literally been one of the few people that have been in the Twitter community and been with the studio, and just always constantly trying to help promote positivity with what's been going on. And you're not afraid to share your thoughts and ideas and stuff, and I just appreciate that, because it's so nice to just have people that, when there's discussion going on, seeing names that I'm familiar with, and I'm like, oh, I'm so glad they're still with the game. I'm still so glad that they're still with the community. And as we kind of get closer and closer towards Everwild, I'm so looking forward to when we're going to be able to kind of start diving into Everwild and really kind of breaking down our feelings and thoughts and sharing experiences there as well.
I'm excited to discover it with you and everybody else at the same time. I
Yeah.
feel like we're all going to be there on the first day, and we're going to explore it together. We're going to discover it together.
Yeah, it's going to be really awesome. Well, I think that's going to do it for this kind of special Earth Day Everwild episode. If you guys have any questions or concerns, you can always check the show notes for my contact, or get in touch with Owl, and or technically Carry the Legend, and let us know what you guys all think. And I think with that, we'll call it good. So, Owl, thank you so much. I will continue to have these discussions in our little Everwild community.
Thank you for having me.
It
means a lot.
Totally. Thanks for answering the call.